Welcome back to the River Float Guide, a series from the Oklahoma 77 Project. Today I want to share with you a really fun urban float trip that you can do right here in Oklahoma City. Just south of Lake Overholser, the North Canadian River turns into the Oklahoma River and runs all the way through downtown Oklahoma City. We're going to start our trip on the 10th Street Bridge that goes over North Canadian. Now, this bridge access is not ideal, but it's better than most. There's a little bit of a homeless shelter encampment underneath, so when going through here, be sure to holler out, "Coming through," so you don't startle anybody who might be living down there. They are working on this bridge right now. The underside of it is very rocky and loose rock, so it is a little bit of a hazardous climb, but it's not a very steep grade, so it's very doable and easy to drag your kayak down with you. Getting in was easy. I left for my trip at around 6 a.m., so it was still a little dark out when I arrived at the get-in point. But as soon as you left the bridge area and the bridge was out of sight, this trip became a real joy. Right in the middle of the city is just this secluded little bit of nature where this river runs through. Now, I did start this trip when it was still rather high from a recent rain, and the flow coming out of the Overholser Dam was steady. Now, since then, it's the heat of summer, and it dropped pretty dramatically as soon as they turned down the flow from the dam. But if you check that on the USGS website, you should be good. Now, I will say this trip, I was amazed at how much wildlife I saw. I saw a swan, which is a rare thing for me to see on the river. I saw probably about 12 deer, and just kind of spread out throughout the trip. And then a few beaver, maybe up to 6 beaver. I almost lost track, and I couldn't really tell if it was the same beaver that was just stalking me or not. But lots of heron and all kinds of birds out there. Once you get down the river, it just feels really secluded. You'll hear some industrial sounds in the distance. There is a point at which this river does pass through the city dump. And at that moment, you are brought back to the reality of where you are and can smell it and see the trucks in the distance moving the dirt and loading up the garbage. So other than that, though, it was a really great trip and really kind of a remarkable amount of nature and seclusion considering how close all this is to the city. So one of the best parts about this trip is the get-in location at the 10th Street Bridge. There is a parking spot there, a parking area for public access to the hiking and biking trails, and the get-out point is the same, and there is a boat ramp. I'm at the boat dock where I pulled out at. This is the first boat dock when you get into the Oklahoma River. I could have gone on. My goal was to get to some of these locks up here. If you continue on, they're kind of hard to navigate because you have to portage around them. And I'm kind of curious how hard that would be. But to be fair, the trip I just had was a really nice trip. And there's not much to see on the Oklahoma River outside of these gigantic rock walls and some buildings. So not exactly super worth it to go down, other than just if you're looking for a challenge. So I'm going to say the best place for this kayak trip is to end right here. There's a parking lot. It's a rather convenient spot to have a car left, so we could have had a car left and taken multiple kayakers down this trip and then gone back to pick up my truck on the other side. So probably going to do that again because this is very near Oklahoma City. It's very accessible, and gosh, it was very beautiful and a good flow, and it's controlled by the dam, so it's probably always a good flow until they turn it off. So I just want to mention this other access point here behind Basket Market, which is like a Hobby Lobby clearance store. It's right off the bridge, and you could park behind the Basket Market store and get access to the river for a very short trip or just to explore. I've thought about doing that before when I was at the Basket Market. But yeah, fun trip. Highly recommend it. I'll probably be watching the flow and the gauge height for this area and go on as many of these little float trips as I can when it's convenient, especially bright and early in the morning because of all the wildlife you'll see. But that was the trip, and like I said, very much worth it. I highly recommend it. If you have spots that are a little less known that you think we should explore and document for this series, be sure to let us know at oklahoma77.com. You can also send us a message on an Instagram page, and we'll get back with you and discuss it. You all take care and enjoy exploring Oklahoma.